Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to give you 10 tips, guys. 10 tips to help you elevate yourself, to go to the next level in your emotional maturity. Okay? And this is going to be great for the people who have felt victimized all throughout their life in their personal and even business relationships. For those who have experienced traumas, for those who feel like they're at a lowest point, or for those who are just trying to, make sure that they're looking at the things that they should be to improve themselves. All right, because the last thing we want to do is have the repeat button on. And I know a lot of survivors have had that repeat button for so many years. All right, maybe they've been with one narcissist after another, or stayed with one very long term. So hopefully these tips will be helping you. All right. Some of you may know all of these things, and that's wonderful. You are on a great path. And then for some of you, I may give you some things that you don't know about. And then there'll be some of you who don't realize any of this stuff. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about it. And I actually have a bonus tip here. So 11 things, guys. And are there other things that you can do? Of course. Of course. But here are 11 for starters. All right. Number one, we're going to learn how to play the long game in life. Learn how to play the long game, guys. A lot of times, and this is just typical human nature, we want instant gratification. We want what we want, and we want it right now. But I'm going to give you something to think about. When we're in our toxicity and we're satisfying short term and making knee-jerk decisions, what aspect of ourselves are we most likely satisfying? Chances are our shadow side, our brokenness. But when we learn how to play the long game, we can learn how to delay what we feel is that self-gratification. We allow ourselves to think before we speak, to think before we behave or respond. And then we're responding versus reacting. That's just that quick, emotional, thoughtless reply or response to whatever the situation is. Learn how to play a long game, because I'm pretty sure a lot of survivors can think of how not playing that long-term game or thinking short-term with situations, how we've made the decision that wasn't best for us. Okay. And, that all does tie in with increasing our emotional maturity. Understanding how doing A will affect B, will affect C, will affect D, and so forth and so on. That's the long-term game there. Now, honestly, narcissists, they try to play the long-term game as well, but their toxicity gets in their way, just like with survivors before they're survivors. They were getting in their own way over and over and over, and it was blocking them from being able to get what they want, being so short-term. Let me tell you what some of the short-term game would look like. Well, you know what? Having someone is better than no one, I at least have a warm body in my bed. These are short term. But long term, what did it expose you to? And what did it end up doing to you? Making that short term toxic perception and decision. And that's just a for instance there. Or short term, the narcissist baits you in for an argument. So you lose control. You say everything horrible under the book, and they have you on video. They have you on audio. They have all the text messages and everything to go show their flying monkeys or their family and friends and paint a picture of you. Well, they know that, this was just a moment of this person breaking down. They're usually not like that. Are they going to say, wow, thank God you discarded that person. Thank God you dumped him or her. See, that long-term game helps you to keep your composure. It helps you to think beyond okay, if I do that right now, what would be the long-term consequences that I would be possibly exposing myself to? So there we're talking about self-control. Okay, self-control. This is no different than someone who has weight issues and they're constantly eating the junk food and they say they want to stop, but they keep surrounding themselves and buying it when they get that urge, early on, you know what, I'm going to cut back on it. But by day 2 or 3, they're feeling that sugar urge that they're used to, and they cave in the short term for the self-gratification of eating that candy bar. In the long term, they're adding to their ultimate issue that's way greater than their taste bud for or craving for that sugar in the moment. All right, so let's play the long-term game. Long-term game, guys. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, we need to learn how to master the art of timing. We have to know when to bail on a situation. We have to know when to speak up and when to shut our mouths. We have to know when to disclose information and when not to. Mastering the art of timing. Because you know what? Time is something that we can't get back. Once we spend our time, it's spent. We can never get 1 minute ago. We can't get 1 second ago. That time is utilized forever. All right. So imagine staying in a situation longer than you should have because you didn't master the art of time. You weren't respecting your own time, but you wanted them to respect it. Mastering the art of timing strips other people from wasting your time as well. Yes, I started with you because, everything needs to start with you. You shouldn't be wasting your time first and foremost. That will at least give you a greater odds of not allowing other people to do it as well. So we have to master the art of timing and have respect for time. Okay, and that goes for people who just waste their time, blow their time. People who procrastinate. They take for granted that they have X amount of time. And in reality, every day our time gets shorter. But that's okay. That is the cycle of life. But we should all be making it count. All right. So number 3 on my list, guys, is learning how to defend yourself. So many survivors do not know how to speak up for themselves. So many survivors have allowed themselves to be silenced throughout the years, and they don't have a voice. They have a hard time saying no to people, and they don't know how to defend themselves against predators. They don't know how to defend themselves just against negativity, period. They don't know how to defend themselves even on the lightest sense. So we have to learn how to defend ourselves and understanding what defense is in any given situation. Defending yourself could be simply hanging up the phone. Defending yourself could be breaking up with someone or distancing or cutting off a situation. And another aspect to defending yourself is not feeling guilty for doing so. Okay, so if we're always concerned with how's this one going to feel when I do what I have to do for me? What are they going to think about me if I do what I have to do for me? How's everyone else externally going to respond once I stop abandoning myself? And that's basically not putting yourself first, or feeling uncomfortable and uneasy with it. But again, that's a muscle that has to get stronger for people who are used to doing the latter, which is putting themselves last or not even being on the list. So we have to learn how to defend ourselves appropriately in each situation. All right, and then not feel guilty or ashamed or, self-conscious about doing so. All right. You have to stand up for yourself first. So number 3 on my list, guys, is, of course, increasing your emotional maturity. are your emotional intelligence. All right, that means you're going to understand psychology. You're going to understand the physiological aspects of things. You're going to understand what conflict is. You want to understand what manipulation is. You want to understand what a perception is versus fact. All of these things, and others, of course, will help you be able to hop into your logic first. Learning how to go into your logic first instead of running out of your emotions. But then if your logic isn't even appropriately giving you the right information, so, increase your emotional maturity and makes you a student again. A student in learning and understanding human nature and human beings. All right, because sometimes our logic is filled with a bunch of lies as well. So we have to get to the truth, guys. Increasing your emotional maturity will help you do that. All right. So number 5 on my list is learning the art of attaching and detaching. I've said this in other videos, guys, but we have to learn how to attach as needed and detach as needed. All right, not overly attach. And, not have a hard time with detaching because of overly attaching. And again, all of these are connected and interconnected, basically. Having the right perceptions on how attachment and detachment works in life. Understanding that most things are temporary. Understanding that a closing of a door is the opening of another. Not putting too much stock in any human being on this earth. So that when the universe and when God makes it clear, this person needs to be removed. This person cannot go where I'm taking you. This person is not the person you thought they were. They're not good for you. Then you will detach without the inner conflict. And you'll have a peace and serenity and knowing, God knows my needs. He knows my wants. Who am I to fight against him? I have faith. I have trust. I know that he has my best interest. So when the letters are written right in front of your face, we're not going to be blind about that and learning the art of attaching and detaching. Because sometimes it's that inner conflict with our toxicity that's keeping us attached and preventing us from detaching as needed. And then that goes back to mastering the art of tying. Okay? Because I know all of us could think, man, if I would have just listened to my first guts, if I would have just honored myself from the beginning, it wouldn't even got that far. Okay? So we have to learn the art of attaching and detaching and use as needed. As needed. All right, so number 6 on my list is understanding yourself. So many people do not even really understand themselves. You don't know your strengths and weaknesses like you should. All right, because you should be playing off your strengths while working on your weaknesses. Instead, other people are exploiting you for your weaknesses because a lot of times you may be in your ignorance about where you are weak because you don't want to see yourself in that light. But no one's perfect. We all have imperfections and things that we can work on with ourselves. And it's quite possible to turn a weakness into your strength. You can take it out of that weak state, but you have to be able to even see it to begin with. So that all starts with understanding yourself. All right. So number 7 here is we need to manage our stories and update them as needed. Sometimes, a lot of times, even though we have evacuated the situation, we have cut our ties, we're still telling us the victimized story. All right. Instead of what's empowering, instead of what's strength. And that's based around facts. I'm not telling anyone to lie or stress the truth with themselves. I'm telling you to keep it real, but we have to manage the stories and don't stay stuck in the negativity. Yes, I went through this and that, but guess what? I got in my strength and I broke away from it. I'm proud of myself. I'm working on it. I'm healing from it. Update the story as needed. Because those defeated, pathetic, woe is me stories, they keep you in a negative vibration, guys. So let's manage those stories and update as needed. Number 8, we need to start understanding nonverbal clues. Yes, there are times when a narcissist or a toxic person can even tell on themselves verbally. You have to be able to read between the lines, and sometimes they'll literally say something to you. But that's when they have you so wrapped around their perceptions and illusions that they're laughing on the inside that you haven't even picked up on what they're telling you. So we need to understand body language. We need to be looking at eye contact. We need to be looking at a person's perpetual history. What do they have a history of doing? How are they leading their life before they met you? And you met this person in their 40s and 50s and they were still on what? They were still doing what before they met you? These are all nonverbal clues to what type of energy and what you probably can be most likely to expect from this person in your life. And it's not up to you to take them and dust them off. It's not up to you to get them ready to be with you. It's a sure shine that you're underdating and that they're not ready, guys. And that you will be settling at that point. So let's pick up the nonverbal clues. You know, people tell us and show us in so many ways. And all we have to do is be willing to see it. Be willing to see it. Even if it goes against your wants and desires. You know, here's the funny thing about psychology. We want to see what we want to see. We want so bad what we want. And sometimes we can't even see that it's just not going to be with them. And we have such a narrow-minded way of seeing things that we're connecting all of our hopes and dreams into this one relationship. And that's very codependent, by the way. That we can't even step into our logic to say, you know what? There's nothing wrong with me wanting love. There's nothing wrong with me wanting a healthy relationship. But I need to love and have a healthy relationship with myself first and foremost. But number 2, just because I can't have a loving and healthy relationship with this person doesn't mean I can't have a healthy and loving relationship in life. I can have it still, just not with them. It's not the end of my desire for it. It's not the end of my ability to get it or not get it based off of what happens between me and them. It just means that another person was designated for that. And this person was designated for something else, i.e. the lessons that you're supposed to be taking out of the situation. All right, so we have to really open and expand our minds. And I'm hoping that a video like this is beginning to help you do that. Number 9 is we need to see angles. And that's, interconnected with the nonverbal clues. But angles is being able to think ahead. When we play a game of chess, we're strategizing, right? And we're trying to think ahead. Okay, I want to do this, and eventually I want to do that. And we're thinking moves ahead. So being able to see angles is very important and not letting us be devastated and caught off guard. Not putting anything past anyone. Being able to see all the angles, even the ones that are less desirable for us. And that goes back to only wanting to see what we want to see. I only want to see positive thoughts. I only want to, and then there's a lot of this new age stuff that says only think about the positive things. And yes, I do want you to think about the positive things, but I want you to just at least consider anything that could go wrong so that you're prepared for it, that it doesn't devastate you or blindside you. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I hope for the best, but I have considered the worst. I've considered all this stuff, and I feel absolutely prepared for if this happened or that happened. Because I've considered it. It didn't catch me off guard. Okay, and being able to see those angles is also going to help you with the nonverbal clues to when people aren't being direct, ain't keeping it real with you. They're lying and being sneaky. You're going to see angles and at least consider it. And considering those angles might actually help you see the nonverbal and verbal clues that a person is giving you because you've even considered it. Does that mean you have to be hypervigilant? Does that mean you have to walk on eggshells? Absolutely not. But it just means that you have something called critical thinking. What's wrong with critical thinking? Might save your life. Okay, so let's learn how to see angles and have a healthy perception around why you need to do so. Okay. Number 10, learn how to psychologically stand on your own. Okay, that strips you of needing to be paired up, of needing to be accepted from any external sources. So when you can stand on your own psychologically, I can enjoy my own company. I can be by myself. I can be in singleness if that's what is called for. Shoot, I can have a party all by myself and have fun. Did I say that you had to be a hermit? Does that mean that you can't be a social person, that you can't have fun and have meaningful connections and blah, blah, blah? No, I'm not saying anything like that, but it just means that any of those external connections are not in a position of stripping you psychologically. They're not going to be in a position of making you feel worthless or bringing your self-esteem down if there should be an ending or, things run its course. Or they decide to change their mind about you or pull away and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we learn how to stand on our own psychologically. You will be incredibly empowered in life. All right. So I'm looking at the list. I have 2 more things. So I will re-edit this list to say 12. Okay. 12. Number 11 is going to be finding gratitude. A lot of times it's very easy to focus on everything that's going wrong. But I'm going to challenge you, if you want to have a more positive life, you want to get away from that positive energy, you're really going to have to learn how to see the good in things. You're going to really have to learn how to still acknowledge the things that are going right and not just zoom in on the things that go wrong. All right, have a healthy balance. There's nothing wrong with saying, Lakia, I need to see the things that are going wrong in my life. I agree. You really do need to see those things, because if you don't see them and isolate them and work on them, guess what? They linger and fester in the background. Before you know it, it'll be in the foreground. And then it's grown, okay, like a toxic cancer. So yeah, you need to see these things, but you don't need to be obsessive about them. And while you're seeing these things, you need to also see the good as well. Because then we'll get that tunnel vision, and what we think about grows. Then you're consumed with your negativity, and pretty soon you can't even see any of the good stuff at all. And that's what happens a lot of times when people are depressed. They've lost touch with what is good. They can't see the light. So all they're seeing is that darkness. Okay? Now, my 12th and final suggestion here for getting yourself ready and next for that next level is to redefine some things in your mind. If you have toxic or misconceptions or the wrong perceptions about them, we need to know what justice really is. And it can vary situation to situation. Okay? Justice could be just breaking up with someone. They'll never get that support from you. They don't have the friendship and the olive branches that you were extending to them. Sometimes that really is the justice. Justice isn't always just something that happens through the legal system. All right. So that's why, we need to redefine these types of words. The other thing is conflict. Conflict is not all negative. Conflict is a warning sign. You start feeling conflict with someone. Okay, this needs to get my attention right now because it is not mixing well with me. So what do I need to do to get rid of that conflict? Then do it. Anger. We always see, a lot of people see that as all 100% negative. It's what you do with the anger that makes it positive or negative. If you take it again as a red flag, okay, what's going on right here, and what do I need to do to get out of that energy? What is the source? What is causing that? Okay, even manipulation isn't all bad. Because when we're raising up children and we're teaching them, we're manipulating their mind. We're teaching them the way to go. It's not all bad. It's just that the toxic people are using these things for negative. All right. So we need to also see, this is, goes back to number 9, seeing those angles. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through all of my 12 things, and I hope that this has been helpful. I do life coach. You can go to my website, www.lakiacrawford.com, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, and we can go through these things. But number one, I had play the long-term game. See beyond that second and moment. Okay, that's maturity, and that's critical thinking. All right, let's master the art of timing. All right, that's going to need you to consider your ego. It's going to need you to consider your temperament. All right, learn how to defend yourself. Learn how to stand up for yourself, basically. The next thing was increasing your emotional maturity. All right, the next thing was learn the art of attaching and detaching as needed. Then we had understand yourself. Number 7, we had manage the stories that you tell yourself and update it as needed. Number 8, learn how to pick up nonverbal clues from people. Don't expect that someone's going to literally just be straightforward. As a matter of fact, what do they say? 90% of communication is nonverbal. Number 9, see angles. At least consider them. It doesn't mean that you're inviting them to happen. It just means that you like to be fully prepared as possible in any given situation. Number 10, learn how to psychologically stand on your own. Because if you're the one that's in charge of your psyche, other people won't be manipulating you and exploiting you through it. Okay? Number 11, find gratitude in life. Don't fall in the habit and the pitfall of just only thinking about the negative things and minimizing then at the time the good things. Your life isn't all bad. You haven't lost everything. Stay away from that type of way in thinking, which is an indication that you have stepped away from gratitude. Number 12, redefine words like justice, conflict, manipulation, anger. Understand the light and the dark aspects. And justice is beyond a courtroom or calling the police. Does that mean take the law into your own hand? No. But there are other ways that you can get justice in a situation that removes you from the suffering, removes you from that person that was preying on you. Okay? So if this video resonated with you, if it was helpful to you, go ahead and hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe and hit that bell. I have a support group over on Facebook for survivors of narcissistic abuse. A lot more content coming, so make sure that you're on the lookout for that. And like I said, you're hitting that bell. Great ways to support the channel is to always like the buttons, guys. All right. I want to also direct you to Patreon. That's a great way to get services with me through your monthly membership to supporting my cause and my work. A lot of great perks come with that, guys. I highly recommend you go over and take a look at that. I have started a second YouTube channel for all my family-oriented survivors. You know, the channel is about family life, it's about motherhood, it's about single moms, and it's about parenting. I will be doing parenting videos from the psychological aspect, and it'll be mixed in with my family vlogs, okay? So if you're interested in that, you feel free to go over there. With all that being said, guys, you can do this. You can do this. All right. Thank you for tuning in. And what I say at the end of all of my videos, of course, never give up on yourself. Keep doing the work. And until next time, please take care.